On to the next project. We're going to start working on some bathroom storage. I've got the faceplate built for what I'm going to do up here. It's not too awful deep. It's only 6 inches deep. But I also don't want to whack our heads on it when we're using the bathroom. So that's why it's not super huge here, but it's something. And I mean, we don't carry tons of towels. The towels that we have, I can't remember if they're called like French towels or something, but they're really lightweight. They fold up pretty small, so they don't take up a lot of space. Washcloths, some of our hygiene. And again, I've thought of having Sonja do like a hanging bag of sorts down here that we could put things into. But this is the beginning of it. I'm building it as I go along. I don't know exactly how I'm doing it until I get there. So we'll keep chipping away at it and see what we can come up with. Well, we've got a test fit. One thing you probably noticed right away is this gap here. Originally built this face so that it was only 6 inches deep and this would sit flush with the wall. And when we test fitted it, that just wasn't deep enough for what we want to use it for. So I'd already glued and nailed the bottom plate on. You can't really see it in the video, but the first one here only goes back 6 inches. So I just glued another board on top of that one. And that now makes it the 8 inches deep. And I think the 8 inches deep is a lot better for storage. And since I already had the face built, and I didn't want to waste material, there'll be a gap. I'll paint it all white back in there so that it looks like it should. I like how it looks. I think it's going to work out well. I added an extra upright here so that it's spaced further away from the window. My intent is to build one big door. Oops, sorry, ran into the wall there. To make one big door on it that lifts up. And I'll get the hinges to hold up, or I'll get the, it won't be a gravity door that hits you on the head because you're not able to hold it up. But everything's glued and pocket screwed together in here. I think what I might do is I might spray treat all of the inside with shellac, with 3 coats of shellac so it's good and protected. And then I'm going to paint the outside face white. So I think that'd be a whole lot easier than trying to get white paint in all those nooks and crannies. And I'm not the best painter and I don't like runs, and I have a feeling there'd be a lot of runs if I did it that way. We'll see. Talk it over with Sonja before we make a final decision. But we also took this inside, set it up, and started placing the things that we want to put in it. And at this point in time, we are not putting a shelf in. We think the shelf would make it too small in both areas. If I remember right, this is only 14 inches from very top to very bottom. So there's not a ton of room in there. And it's still, I mean, I've sat down on the toilet. It still gives you plenty of room so I don't hit my head. I mean, it does stick out enough. It kind of makes the area feel a little bit smaller. But I think overall it's going to work out well. Well, as you all know, I've been working on the bathroom cabinet, so we've got some linen storage in there. And it's not tons, but it's definitely something to start with. I'm in the process now, though. I've got the door built. I'll show that here in a little bit. And I've got the cabinet ready to go. I've got 3 coats of shellac on the interior and the back side of it. Now it needs paint, so finish work's going to take a while. And I'll show it also to you here in a little bit, but I have built a shelf for up here for the 3 bins that we've bought. So I've got that underway. It was one of those things, I was calling it quits for the night, but it's like, you know what, I got these few scraps around. This is an idea I have for it, so I have put it together. The tape up here is marking where that steel plate is for my backing, so I can screw into that when I put the upper cabinet up. I'll show that to you in a little bit. It was just one of those real quick. The idea came in my head, what I wanted to do to build it. I went out to the shop, found scrap that worked for it, and built it really quick without filming any of it, of course. But since that's also at the point where I am shellacking the backside that's going to be against the wall, so it is protected from moisture. trying not to have any bare wood, or as little bare wood as possible. So I've got that underway. So now, since I'm basically priming and painting and sitting around twiddling my thumbs, I'm going to start calculating out our dinette countertop and how that's all going to go together. Because right now the fire extinguisher is back there behind the bed support. I want to move it out of there. I want to put it on the end of the dinette, but I've got to build the dinette first. Switches for the outside lights and all that is also coming. So we'll get to work. Well, the dinette area is starting to take shape. Working right now on just the basic cabinet that it's going to sit on. And then the idea is I have another piece of this hickory that is going to be hinged on the front so that it'll come out about another 9-10 inches. So we have a nice area to sit at to eat. And on the end here, I want to put a 3-panel switch for the outside, inside lights and the water pump. And then I can also mount my screens for, and the push button for the inverter and for the battery monitor. And then underneath that, I want to put the fire extinguisher in there. So I've got a lot of work to do on the underside of the system. The other thing I'm debating doing, Sonja and I have talked about a little bit, is cut the tabletop somewhere in here and have hinges so this flips up, and then build a clothes hamper in there so we have an area to put our dirty clothes. That's one of the things we've kind of kicked around and talked about. But we need to see what all we're trying to put in here, what kind of storage we're trying to do in here before I go too far on some of that other stuff. But it's underway. Pretty exciting. I think I'm going to wrap it up for the day. Got quite a bit done today though. So I've been working on the frame here. I have added a solid wall on the back. I've also added a screw plate, I guess. One of the pieces of metal I put in as a backing plate is right behind this. So I'll put like 4 good heavy screws to hold this counter in place there. I've also, if I move this out of the way, I've put this board kind of as a spacer to keep this away from the mattress as it comes down, but also to protect all of the electronics. Added this upright here, and then what I'm going to eventually do is put another upright here and build a door, so we'll have a door for our fuse box. I think that'll work just fine for covering up the fuse panel, but have it really easy, accessible. Just pop the door open, you have access to all your fuses. There'll be more solid wood paneling over here to kind of help protect the electronics. And then once I get the water system, which you can see the tank there, once I get the water system figured out and the tank actually attached down where it was going to be, I'll start trying to calculate the drawers, because I still want to put a couple of drawers in between the water system and the electronics so that we have a little additional storage. But overall, things are coming along. You know, it's awesome having the pantry as far along as it is, and getting the cleats on the pull-out tray for the cooler has really helped that out a lot. And as I wrap some of this other stuff up, I'll get onto that water system so then we can start finalizing things. But this is the last major piece that's going in here, and it's just a matter of getting it mounted, figuring out how we're doing the hidden hinges for the flip up countertop for our clothes hamper. Sonja's in agreement that's a great place for it, so we're going to have the clothes hamper on that end, and then electronics and a fire extinguisher on this end. We're not sure exactly what we're going to put in between. Possibly just put a shelf in there and have a cupboard door on it and just have some cupboard space there. I don't know. We'll see. And I still want to try to find a spot for a collapsible broom and then a foxtail and a dustpan. So maybe in there is a good place for that. And we've got the bathroom cabinet under paint. And the other cabinet I haven't shown you yet, that's going to go over the dinette area to hold some bins up there. That's also in paint. So let's go take a look at that. And here's my paint booth. I got the door for the linen cabinet for the bathroom. This is the inside because you can probably see the dings it's got. I don't even know how those happen, but this is the side that didn't look as good. So it'll get 2 coats of paint, then I'll flip it over, put 2 coats of paint on the front. This is the main cabinet to go up there in the wall. It's decent size. I mean, I could have made it a little bigger probably, but I think this is going to work out good for size. And then this is the cabinet or shelf that I made for the bins, and it will sit like that against the wall. Let me grab one of the bins here. And I've got 3 bins of this size that fit inside and sit in there side by side. So we'll have some storage above the dinette. The only bummer with the angle of the ceiling and as low as the ceiling is in the trailer, this bin on the far right of this, you'll have to pull out the center bin, move this over, and then pull it out just because of the height of the ceiling. This side will be so close. But on a good note, I can guarantee you that bin cannot fall out while we're driving down the road. Unless the other 2 do, which I really don't, because this is a pretty good size lip here. But so that will be our upper storage above the dinette. I think it'll work out well. And after I get some painting done, I got to order hinges for the door. But then we can get that on order, and I got to figure out the hinges for the door for our hamper on the dinette. That's something I still need to work out, but I think it's going to work out well, and it's nice to see this stuff coming along.
Welcome back. So I did my little bag, a little project bag that I made, and I was very happy with it. But there were a couple things that I wasn't thrilled with that I wanted to change if I made another bag, and I did want to make more bags. And also I really wanted to make a bag that was my own pattern. So I started thinking about it, and the other day I actually started putting this one together with my idea being kind of a half circle, not really quite a circle, and doing this on the inside, having it meet there, do the bottom, do the bag differently, which I did do. And I got it just about together, and I probably will finish it. But when I went to bed and then I was thinking about it, I thought, okay, part of what I wanted to do in making my own pattern was to make something simpler. And I think that I made this at least as complicated, if not more complicated. So I wasn't satisfied with it. So then I started doing some thinking, and every idea that I came up, like, oh, I could do it this way, but then if I do part A over here, then part B doesn't work. If I fix part B, then part A doesn't work. Anyway, it took me a little while, but I think I've come up with something that will work, and so right now I've started working on it. I have my little front and my back piece that I have just quilted. This will be a middle piece. And I'm getting ready to cut out my little pattern piece here. So I don't know if this is going to ever make it into video, because I don't know if this is going to actually work right. But if it does work right, and if I'm happy with it, then this will be my next bag. And we'll see where we go from there. I've been doing a little bit of work here. So what I did is I have my side cut out. I have my middle piece, and I have stitched the middle piece onto the side piece. And I'm getting ready to pin the next one on to do that one. And that will make our little bag, which will stand up. That's one of the things that I felt was important, is I wanted a bag with a flat bottom so that it would stand up on its own and not just flop over regardless of whether it had stuff in it or not. I thought that was really one of the things that I did really appreciate about the way the first bag was, is its flat bottom. So working on a flat bottom, so far it looks like it's going to work. Yay! So I've done enough to realize that I'm pretty sure my idea will work, as I mentioned. And then I thought, still not exactly what I'm looking for. So I have made myself a different pattern. And I'm going to deconstruct this so that I can use the pieces again, because I don't want to finish this way and try again. I am back and ready to get started another day. I have used my new pattern. I've cut out my pieces. Now I will admit this is not exactly big enough. There is just a tiny bit, as you can see, that didn't cover it. But I figured this is kind of a prototype. I may get it done and decide I'm not happy with it again. So I am just going to use it like it is, and we're gonna see, because I mean, that's such a little tiny bit. So I need to pull out my little threads left over from my unsewing. And then I'm going to take my little middle piece and I'm going to do the same thing that I did before and just work around the curve. Okay, I have the main body part stitched together. I think it's coming out kind of cute. Now, my one biggest concern that I had as I had my pattern piece and I was getting ready to put this together was I was concerned that this was too narrow across here and that my embroidery hoop would not fit, but it looks like it will fit in there just fine. So I'm happy with that, because I would do it over again if I wasn't happy with it, but I would prefer not to do it over again, since this is like my third one. So now we will just get the binding. Oh, I just realized before I did this far, I should have put my straps on. So I need to figure that out, where the straps should go. And it's going to be trickier putting them on with it already stitched together this way, but it will still be possible. So I'm going to get that figured out, and then I can get the straps sewn on. Then I'll worry about putting the binding on. Okay, I've got my strap placement figured out. So what I want to do is come and stitch this on and do like a little square with a little X in the middle to help make it super strong. But of course now, as I mentioned, I've stitched it together, so it's going to be a little trickier to get underneath the presser foot. So I think that I'm going to take advantage of my thing that's up here so that I can get it into here. Still going to be tricky, but I should be able to get it stitched. And I want to make sure my pins are up here because I want to leave room at the top, because I'm going to need to do binding. So I need this to not go, I can't just go up off the end. I need this to be loose. So I'm going to start down about 3/4 of an inch or so, maybe an inch from the bottom, and that's where I'm going to go and leave the rest of it so that it's not attached. Okay, so I got my first one stitched. My square is not perfectly square. I'm not going to worry about that. It matches the color well enough. It's not going to be something really amazing. The thing that's really funny is I apparently won bobbin chicken. I didn't even realize I was playing, but my bobbin ran out right there. So I went to pull it out. I'm like, wait, there's no bobbin thread. I didn't notice it running out. So yeah, my last stitch I took, I was okay, and I'm glad I didn't have to go any further. That is amazing. Okay, I've got binding that I've got pinned on here ready to stitch. I did get it on this side and I've already folded it towards the back. I will have to hand stitch this down over that. So I'm going to get this one attached and then I can do some hand stitching. And once the main part of the bag is done, then it will be on to the inner bag. Okay, it's probably looking a little messy here, but I have made my inner bag, which you can see in there. And now I have put it wrong side together with the outer bag, and I pinned it, lining up my centers and everything. So now I'm doing my binding. So the binding is going right along this top edge. And the idea then is that when it's done, the binding will go right there, and that will finish off that edge so that that is all neat and tidy. My handles, of course, I have pinned down here out of the way so that they don't get caught in there. The tricky part here was, this is kind of funny because I had cut binding from the take 2 of my bag, and I was wondering if I had enough left, and it looks like I will just barely have enough left. So hoping this actually does work out, because I don't want to have to add a little piece right there at the end. Anyway, I do need to get this pinned on better. I was just kind of clipping it on there just to see how I was looking for length and whether or not I needed to actually cut more. I think it will be a little tricky going over where I have the binding here, because that is pretty thick, but we're just gonna take it and see how it goes. So I gotta get this pinned on, and then I'm gonna stitch that on. And then I think, other than the pole, or not the pole, the drawstrings and the little tabs at the end, I think that the bag itself is actually finished at that point. And here we go. I have it all done. Got my little drawstrings with their little tab ends. Opens up. There's the inside. And all the things fit. Ta-da!